Welcome friends, this is going to be a quick review on the 2025 Toyota 4Runner Trailhunter model. I'm going to do this video in a pros and cons style because I've already done full in-depth reviews on the Tacoma TRD Pro and the Trailhunter version of that as well. I will have links to that in the description box below. And if you stay tuned until the end of this video, I will be able to share with you a resource on how you can save on new Toyota 4Runners, but the regular trim levels like your SR5s, your TRD off-roads, etc. But let's go ahead and let's get started with the first pro, which is going to be this really entertaining intake sound. I will demonstrate for you in a moment. I have to crack this window. Genuinely, the only other vehicle I have ever tested in my life that can match the intake noise of this Trailhunter, it's going to be like a $200,000 Porsche Cayman GT4 RS. That is the only other vehicle I've driven to match the ludicrous sound that this produces. The Trailhunter and the TRD Pro, these are both the top of the line models for the 4Runner and the Tacoma, but only the Trailhunter gets that ridiculous intake sound. The TRD Pro does not get that. So just for that feature alone, it's kind of a no-brainer for me. I'm choosing the Trailhunter all day long. But the powertrain that we have here, it's the turbocharged 4-cylinder engine mated to the hybrid battery packs. We have here a combined total system output of 326 horsepower and 465 pounds-feet of torque. Although I wouldn't say that this vehicle is fast. I mean, it is. I would more so say that this is quick, and it's certainly very effortless for straight driving. It's just not going to blow your mind in terms of its acceleration. This vehicle, it masks the speed from you. So when you accelerate, you never get that gut-wrenching sensation. You don't ever feel like you're getting pinned into the back of your seat, but you do notice that the speedometer is climbing rapidly. And we also have here the 8-speed automatic transmission. Shifts flawlessly. And I'm not going to label this as a con, this is just an observation. I would like Toyota to add this to the Tacomas and to the 4Runners. I would like them to have some paddle shifters here, because this 8-speed automatic transmission, it shifts really well, even in the manual mode. So I feel like it would be really fun to engage with this vehicle further with some paddle shifters. I'm just really surprised that they did not add that for this new generation. But regardless, the drivetrain and its overall performance, it's been flawless. Not just in these Tacomas and 4Runners, but also in the new Tundras and the Sequoias. The iForce Max powertrain does perform really well. Okay, so the first pro is going to encompass the drivetrain performance and also the very entertaining sound coming from the Trailhunter models. Another pro I want to touch on real quick is actually the Refinement, because you'll notice that I've put the windows up now, and this vehicle, even under acceleration, it is rather quiet. I mean, you heard just how loud that noise was. It is such a racket, but once you have the windows up in this vehicle, it genuinely masks like 90% of that noise. I'll accelerate one more time here. Yeah, I mean, you can barely hear it now. It's definitely there, but my goodness, this is much quieter, and part of the reason for that is because, number one, this vehicle is really well isolated. We actually have double pane glass being used on the front side windows here. Same thing with the Tacomas. So really impressive. You hardly get any wind noise or tire noise even. We have here these off-road ready tires, and even out on the highway, you don't get a crazy amount of noise. Really impressive. Now, some subtle cons to bring up. It's going to be the at-limit handling. When you take your everyday corners, you do notice that this vehicle is definitely leaning. You certainly feel that weight transfer taking effect, even in your long sweeping corners as well. I would say that overall, the handling is much improved over the previous generation 4Runner, but even still, you do get that weight transfer. It doesn't help the fact that these iForce Max models weigh about 5,500 pounds. Yeah, that is no joke. It's over 600 pounds heavier than the non-iForce Max 4Runners for this new generation. And also out on the highway, even though the high-speed stability has certainly improved over the previous generation 4Runner, You do notice some nervousness at really, really high speeds because I was booking it so I can do a thorough test on this SUV. Obviously, nobody in the United States, especially in a 4Runner, is going to be driving that fast on the highway, but regardless, I just want to check it out. If you're everyday kind of 75 mile per hour driving, this is fine, but I just wanted to bring these observations to your attention. I'm not labeling that as a massive con by any means because these are just some subtleties and I'm really pushing these vehicles out on the road. For the most part, for how heavy this is and how off-road, capable this SUV is, the everyday handling is totally fine. And as mentioned previously, an improvement over the previous generation. Because this vehicle, it's sitting up rather high. We have over 10 inches of ground clearance for the TRD Pros and the Trailhunters. And of course, these models do come with their own unique suspension setups as well. So that brings me to another point. That's going to be the everyday ride quality. It is truly very comfortable here. Another big pro regarding these new 4Runners. This is a very comfortable setup. I would say that the 4Runners are set up to be a bit more comfortable than the Tacomas. Like if I'm going to be comparing like equivalent trim levels of Trailhunter 4Runner and Trailhunter Tacoma, this feels softer. But once again, I would also say that the Tacoma, because it's a longer wheelbase pickup truck, I did notice that the high-speed stability of the Taco was just a bit better than the 4Runner. So subtle kind of trade-off there. But yeah, comfort level is really good. The only thing I can slightly mention is, just like with any other off-road vehicle, you do notice some of these smaller impacts being transmitted throughout the cabin, but it's really subtle. It's not really a big deal. Almost every off-roader is going to ride like this. Okay, now before I get into the interior space, there's just one more driving attribute that I can mention, and that's going to be the steering. In the normal mode, which is the mode that I prefer to drive in, you notice that the steering is a bit loose. Again, not a big deal, but the steering weight gets perfect in the sport mode. However, I don't personally like to drive in the sport mode, so I would like Toyota to implement a custom mode perhaps. That way I can leave everything into its normal setting except for the steering. Again, just another observation that I would like to bring up. The next big pro that I want to discuss, it's going to be in regard to the interior space. Something I really appreciated about the previous generation Tacomas and 4Runners, it was the solidity and the robustness of the cabin that has now transferred over to these new generation models. However, we also have that new generation design, so everything looks really modern, but you still get that old school tank-like interior build quality as well. Also, another big improvement with pretty much every new Toyota Lexus product is going to be the seats. No matter which trim level you go with, you're going to get really comfortable seats for sure. And with the top of the line Trailhunter, you do get power adjustable seats for both the driver and the passenger. You also get the lumbar support, really strong lumbar. I do like that as well. I also appreciate the physical buttons and switches for the HVAC. It's also completely separate as well. I recently tested the 2025 Lexus GX Overtrail, and I do like that SUV, but regarding the interior of the Lexus, they have implemented all of the HVAC into the screen. I'm not a big fan of car companies doing that. Here, Toyota has separated those HVAC controls, so a big pro there. And we still have the massive 14-inch display. It's easy to use. You have your wireless Apple CarPlay, your wireless Android Auto. Works seamlessly, works quickly. You have all the important features that you would want, like your heated and cooled seats. You have your 360 camera. It's really crisp. I will say the digital gauge cluster is a bit of a con in my opinion because it's a little difficult to adjust and go through. Wish they would kind of simplify that, but once you have everything set up, it's not too terrible. Seating space in the front, the ergonomics, it's all really good. That's a big pro, especially compared to the previous generation. However, the rear legroom I would say is still a bit of a con. The rear legroom, it's a bit tight. I am 5'11". I sit closer to the steering wheel than most people my size, and even still, the legroom, it's not that cavernous. Same thing with the Tacoma as well. Now, I will say that the trunk is rather massive. However, because of the hybrid battery pack, I'm assuming the load height has increased, so you do have to lift up your objects a bit higher to get things into the trunk. But overall, I would say that the trunk is a pro because it's really huge back there, and it's nowhere near as compromised as something like the Sequoia trunk. Plus, you do have some subtle storage here and there regarding the trunk space, and you also have that built-in air compressor because this is the Trailhunter model. Very cool. And you can of course fold down the rear seats as well for even more space. And we don't really have side steps here with the Trailhunter 4Runner, but for me at my size, it's not too difficult for me to get in and out of, but if you have like kids or something, it might be a little difficult for them to get in, just something to think about. But anyway, other things I appreciate regarding the new 4Runner cabin, it's going to be the JBL audio system. These audio systems genuinely sound pretty good now for this new generation of the Tacos and the 4Runners, so well done there. And I just want to quickly go back to the drive because there's a few things that I left out. So number one, I would actually label this as a con. It's going to be just the sheer size of this vehicle, especially when you drive it out on the road. I mean, these TRD Pros and these Trailhunters, they are naturally about 2 inches wider than a regular new 4Runner. But out on the road, my goodness, this feels like you're driving some kind of a full-size pickup truck or something. It feels like you're driving a Tundra or a Sequoia. So some people might like that sensation. I mean, I personally don't care. I got used to it, but I'm just saying most people, they buy the smaller vehicle like a Taco or a 4Runner, so it's easier to drive and a bit more easier to manage. You know, when you get these TRD Pros and these Trailhunters, they do begin to feel slightly more cumbersome to drive and to place out on the road. Something else I want to mention is the fuel economy. These iForce Max powertrains, they are rated to get 23 city, 24 out on the highway. I drive a lot more aggressively, so I never really get 20 mpg at all in this vehicle, but if you drive this more mellow, you should be able to get close to or even meet those EPA numbers, and they're okay numbers. Of course, these iForce Max powertrains, they are not tuned for efficiency at all. That is not the purpose. These powertrains, they are tuned for power. But a pro that I want to mention is actually going to be the braking performance of the 4Runner Trailhunter model. Despite this weighing like 5,500 pounds, this vehicle comes to a stop really nicely, and I like the fact that this is a nice progressive brake pedal. You can really modulate it, so that's nice. I would say that the sheer capability of this SUV is a big pro, right? It's built for overlanding. You don't have to touch this vehicle. You don't have to do anything aftermarket to it. It just comes out of the box perfect, ready to go. You have all the accessories that you need. Or if you just want to use it as a mall crawler, that's fine too. A lot of individuals would like to say that the price is a big con because this is close to $70,000 the way that you see it here. Although surprisingly, I don't really care about the price. I think that the price of these vehicles are justified, actually, because this is a top-of-the-line Trailhunter. This is a luxury product. It is a privilege to drive this vehicle. It's built for more high net worth or high income individuals to enjoy. If you're on a budget, that's why Toyota creates the entry-level base models that cost around $41,000. This Trailhunter is not necessary to go from point A to point B. This is not made for the masses. That's why we have the entry-level SR5s. But I noticed that a lot of people nowadays, they want a Bugatti for Happy Meal prices. Nah, player, that's not how this works. This is made for a wealthier individual to purchase this, park their money into this vehicle, daily drive it, and not lose a bunch of money in terms of depreciation. Of course, hindsight is 2020. We don't really know what the resale value of these vehicles are going to be in the future, but top of the line kind of TRD Pro products from Toyota have historically done really well in terms of resale value, and I'm sure that's going to continue here as well. True off-roaders and overlanders seem to enjoy these new Toyota Lexus products. The off-road community has done incredible things with the new GX550. Really cool builds, and this, you don't have to build it, it just comes perfect right out of the box. So the price of these top-of-the-line models is truly irrelevant to me, because if I want to save money, I'm just going to buy the regular base models. And since you made it to the end of this video, as promised, here's how you can save on the new 4Runners, like the basic models that I talked to you about, like the SR5s, but also, you know, the TRD Off-Roads, the TRD Sports, things of that nature. You can save about $3,000 off the MSRP. How can you do that? Well, you can reach out to Jim, who is one of the largest Toyota brokers in the United States. He has partner dealerships both in the Pennsylvania and California areas, and they are offering $3,000 off the MSRP, and that is before incentives. So if you qualify for a military or something, that's going to stack on top of the $3,000 discount. Not to mention, Jim has really creative ways of purchasing these vehicles, like really good lease programs, really unique deals through his partnered credit unions as well. So a lot of different ways to purchase these vehicles, put down MSDs, save on the interest, and not to mention most of Jim's dealerships charge very low dealer fees and all of that. So you're not dealing with the typical dealership shenanigans. You're just getting a straightforward, very good deal without any of the manipulation games. And he has pretty decent inventory to choose from. He does offer nationwide shipping, That's something you have to pay extra for though, but if you pick up locally at Pennsylvania or in California, you can of course save on that shipping fee. But he does charge a broker fee though to access these deals. Sometimes he incorporates it into the discount already. Regardless of that though, he did say that if you text him and you mention my channel, Discerning Cars, he did say that he'll take some money off of his fee, and I really appreciate him doing that for my audience because his service has definitely been a blessing to my audience for sure. He also has discounts on other vehicles as well, like the RAV4s, the Grand Highlanders, Sequoias, Tundras, Tacomas, etc. If you want to reach out to him, he just has a phone number. You simply text him what you want, and if you want to see his reviews, you can check out his page on the Leasehackr forum, and he also has a pretty big Facebook page as well. So I will have all of that linked in the description box below. If you found value with this content, make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you again for watching. Take care and goodbye.